Oh, welcome back to Rocknrollsailor Journal. It's been like a really busy week. It's quite fun and some quite heavy stories as well with the Swedish crew. And then yesterday we had like brilliant times with Maxi McNaughty hosting at the Labyrinth. Dinner and poetry is like, you know, probably the world's oldest combination, so it's beautiful to see that in a new formula like. And tonight we're at a place called The Gate. It's easiest to find if you jump off the subway at Sparklerweg. So you can just, you know, come by subway and enjoy the whiskeys. It's, as you can see, it's container construction, which is something you see quite a lot here in Amsterdam. As you can see here behind me, all of those buildings, they're like mainly student flats. And they're all they're container construction, you know, I mean, it's quite handy, you know. And that's, each country has like different ways of dealing with their expanding population. And they said, okay, it's not a pretty sight, but it is, you know, in a way it's back to the barracks of ancient Rome, but again in a new jacket, you know, this time sea containers. Right, let's walk on in.
Anyway, this is What Up Light, brought to you by What Up Amsterdam. Used to be on at Checkpoint Charlie. We now have a summer break. So we thought, like, why not come to this lovely establishment?
Yeah, man. It's cut me some slack, yeah? Theories of authentic happiness are inscribed into the minds of many. Philosophical speculation, indoctrination, or experiential judgment. Like a tablet kept close to abide to atone to reach that better you, that happier you. But happiness isn't objective. Cultures and individuals alike share a plethora of takes on what it is to be happy. Before the seemingly unstoppable growth of consumerism creeping ever closer into all corners of our globe, Westerners set out on exploratory expeditions seeking lands far from sight. Conquest, riches, or scientific plunder, whatever the case, stakes were set for monetary plunder. The savages will never be tamed till we can place value on their land, said a famous Western merchant, a dismal outlook from the onset of the cogs that began turning. Theories of happiness roll out like A, B, and C. The hedonist fills himself with pleasure. Desire seekers seek that which they need. Ticks on the daily bucket list fill the list right with glee. But to think, for a moment, if that which is sought, that which brings pleasure, is conditioned and taught. Happiness is never so simple when power is at play. Cultural perspectives shatter when power interplays. Click, click, click goes a selfie stick, but what makes one happy can make another sick. With consumerist happiness full steam ahead, mass production paved ways for the expansion of places and people. Controlled forests, cleared forests for cows to graze. All those muck price patties, half of them thrown away. Are you loving it? But most of us know the destruction we cause. But objects of joy are pushed, hung above noses like fish on hooks. Digital spaces create places and new faces while pushing us further from holding one another. Would I be happier pitched up in a field, tending to my wigwam? I don't know. I wouldn't be pressured and poked to smile and grin with a beautiful set of gnashes made from top-range porcelain. I wouldn't end up browsing for hours through pictures of perfection that make me think, that could be me. If only I could afford. I better button up that shirt and hurry to work. Just a little spent here, a new set of threads. A top-notch barber's doing half hour on this sunbed. I could look like them. Won't that make me smile? Get a nice girlfriend then. Maybe a house and a car so I too can pretend that I'm happy. But what then? What next? The propaganda agents of World War II turned their assault on the consumer, on me and on you. To achieve happiness now we're coerced to consume, but there's always the next upgrade, the next model, the next you. I'm pursuing happiness but I'm feeling empty. I'm browsing online but I've already plenty. The pursuit of happiness seems momentary. The realization of disappointment repeated and heavy. And I'm okay, I can ride the train, whether it leads on to further disappointment or further disdain. But what about those unable to climb, too poor to live, to learn, to earn? Stuck on the outside, swollen and burnt from the liquor they find solace in watching this world go by. The pursuit of happiness which we've all been imbued has many strands needing drastic review. Instantaneity, ever connected, yet more and more reach for the pills to converse, or the tip-tap swipe to construct a social verse. More and more conflicted between bettering ourselves or frugally living to share personal wealth. The ethical self, or loathed success. Maybe we were happier before all this mess. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it on to Manuel now, who's going to introduce the first artist, Leslie, so here we go, man.
Before we start, give it up one more time for Tommy, please. Alright, so, like I said, we have a lineup. The first performer of the evening, she's been on the Word Up station, Checkpoint Charlie, a few times, and she has a few events. One of them is in Labyrinth. She's all over Amsterdam for spoken word. She's been in the game for a long time, so please give a warm Word Up light welcome to Leslie Brown.
Never mind what is not. Look at all I've got. Shared my apple with the sheep, glad they trusted me. Thumbprint of a half moon in a blue sky. Letting the fingers of the winter wind play with my hair to remind me I'm here. Never mind what is not. The next one's called Alarm Clocks. Why do we use alarm clocks? We know what time we want to get up. Why do we shock ourselves into a new day? Do we need to be shaken into consciousness? Okay, I'm shaking, get up and go. If the alarm sets the tone, what kind of a song are we singing, Earthlings? Is this self-inflicted shock treatment a self-made stress system without a prescription? How many times will we bang our heads against the wall? Do humans have feelings too?
Good evening. Good evening, thanks for being here, like, imagine, the trouble you took to finding this place must have been brilliant. I'm going to read some pieces from 4 books I published over the last year. It's all stream of consciousness, like, pretty raw psychedelic and, well, you know, rock and roll. Now, the first book is the story of both. It's a cut-up story between like a guy in the Stone Age on a floating log. It's like, you know, the first mariner on the first boat. Cut up with pieces of me sailing around and a lot of other stuff. This is a piece out of the Stone Age parts of the book. There seem to be 2 leggeds there. There in the mists that line these everlasting waters. There in the mists of time and space, there in the mists on the fringes of his mind. Setting a new border on reality, a threshold to a future, a birth into a different circumstance. A dying off of the continuum of lonely floating on a river of thought and longing, shit, piss and cum. Of urinating and drinking from that same flow of water, of self-repetition. They were standing there, rootless yet unmoving, thoughtless, as this had never happened before, and speech and the conditioning of mind through language was as yet in some distant future to be developed by them, or a species akin. Raw feelings that later on would find themselves encompassed by names like fear, panic, disorder, joy, hunger, happiness, comfort, longing, lust, anger, aggression, anticipation, bewilderment, anxiety, mindfulness, half a hard-on and the need to pee, defecate, throw up, an itch in places that can be scratched, in public or otherwise now, as it was then. There were more than nose, seers, and ears, more than grabbers and runners, more than the twigs at the end of these, but much less than standers together, and certainly less than nesting on a stander, or water that he passed to get there. Maybe somewhat as many as birds in a flock, not like the tiny ones that flew in numbers to mimic and become one great ominous beast of communal hunger, anger, passion, comment, and commitment, pinions as opinions, living on the common tide of the ever-shifting winds. Nor like big-billed lonely ones either, who seldomly came together except for making more loners happen, or to fight each other over the right to be left alone. They were together, that yes, as ripples of motion and emotion went through them, reflected in the rippling waters around his approaching float, now apprehensively poling along, slanting in, out of their direction, hopscotching little waves in the current, like the extremes of emotion that already bound them, him and they, in an alliance as yet unknown.
Your eyes are bad at keeping secrets, and I don't want to hurt you, so I just won't say anything. Don't want to ruin anything, although we haven't even started building anything, not even a sandcastle. But you seem really excited, and I just want to lie next to someone who likes playing in the sand. I think you know me. The same way I think I know that the sky is blue. You could argue that's true, that it is. But the truth is, I don't know, because physics and philosophy, although intriguing, has always confused me, made me question what is real and what isn't really there. And don't even get me started on time. I don't have time to. Never mind, time is even more confusing than colors. But I think I know that this is not the time for blue skies, but still I keep telling her lies, giving promises of maybe. I think you knew I was lying when I answered nothing to your question about what I was thinking about, followed by a subtle smile I was trying to hide. I still am. You keep looking for me in my eyes, but I'm hiding behind, well, see-through curtains, but it is late and it is dark, so maybe you won't see me. The way I don't see you. All I really notice is that the hue of your eyes isn't even close to that color. Let's keep calling it blue. I think I should say something after all. Apologize in advance for being someone else than I think you hope I am. Maybe explain that it's not just you I don't care about. I don't care about much right now, and that is somewhat sad, but also calming, like floating between, but also falling blissfully and aware of the ground. Maybe don't say that. Say something else. Anything, really. Really concentrate. Say something that is true. The sky is really nice tonight. And so are you. Thanks.
I can get louder.
I was only asking for a lie. I was lost to you. I was on the road to something new. The time meets spark. It's on inside a lonely heart. I'm lonely.
My name is Keisha Janet Boy. I'm on a quest right now in search of myself, trying to find out my capabilities, exploring my inner wealth and my potential. Now see, I love different things, to try out different things. But people always tell me to choose one. But I'm just not the one who likes to specialize, put myself into one box. Like I said, just choose one thing and specialize. For I am Keisha Janet Boy, the creative multi-potentialite. Thank you.
I've been going through a lot of old stuff recently. So this one's called An Hourglass Inside an Hourglass. This bay was once a desert, he says. Millions of years ago, it began to change. The thick tangles of weeds, short cactuses with dense flesh, began to produce flowering offspring as the winds moved the rains in. Now it is a part of the forest. This depression is suckled for life as it is full. The trees take on her qualities. Laughter is a part of the old growth. Even the stones know how to laugh if you know how to listen. Not to blame you if you don't. It's not very typical, and we know how scary that can be nowadays. Meeting was like the desert suddenly touching the saltless sea. We flourished overnight, building the biomes of habit, the canopies of smoky nights. The idiot wind blows too hard. We are but frail stalks, and the edges ring. Insects building on us become our body. It's short, but deserts must learn to sustain themselves. The saltless sea must be its own home.
So we wind up with music.
Good evening, I'm a Rocknrollsailor. I'm a writer and a performing artist and painter and stuff. You can find my books and artworks on rocknrollsailor.com and on YouTube under the same name. I'm going to bring you a piece of my fourth book, The Labrador Observer. This stream of consciousness, so you're sort of going up and down the waves. The worst thing, absolute bitterest, gruesome, single most detrimental thing that any kind of education can do to a person is making them feel like learning ain't fun. I can tell you it is fun. Learning is fun like sitting on a swing and hanging with your mates if you have any, or with a captive that's allowed in your building block of servants to the masses of servants serving each other, telling each other not to get too proud, yet feed on the humble. Learning is fun if you see how knowledge grows like trees and grasses and waving reeds, and you learn to weed out the things that you wish not to let grow within your nurturing, sunny herb garden of the mind. Learning is fun when you can travel on worlds of words, through wormholes of metaphor and into distant galaxies of the imagination, the magic energy of existence. Surf it, baby, keep your fishbowl brain intact, that gyroscopic bioelectric compass helping to navigate the whirlwinds and atom storms, the neurochutes and ladders snaking through our inner playground, the human body. Our tiny little bio-spaceship that we astronaut around in, on this bigger playground, this spaceball planet. As our whole galaxy travels on, shooting through the universes like a frisbee made of suns and nebulae. Our physical bio-spaceship that is home to entire colonies of bacteria, pathogens, microbes, flexes, pattern ghosts, and vibrant calculations, stored aspirations, mental meditations, liquid flowing dances like a little chip in the data storage and the biochemical circuitry that connects all humans to the natural frequencies humming through our souls. You got a chip on your shoulder? Just plug it in. Plug it into your biochem system U. Just browse the data after checking and removing all toxicity from your mind and drive. Wouldn't want to spoil the ride. How do I know? Ask the Belgian. They're born with a bag of chips on their shoulders. They invented it, so to speak. Yet another country with a severe case of the PTSD. When wounded from war, you have to keep going, the stitches won't hold and the wounds will tear anew. While the jackals you befriend, they just come close enough to lick your blood, and they won't attack but rather keep you alive like a walking blood bank, a Maasai cow, a zombie slave in hell, outbound, inbound, outbound, inbound, and all wired up. While your boss, like an old snail-headed Japanese bondage master, stands there suckling on your agony. Like a kid on a globeful biscuit, watching his favorite sibling undergo punishment for what busybody did. Waiting till the straps of bondage become influential to your fluid circulation, up to the point of seemingly existential. Until you slowly give in to the directed pose and lean into the ropes. Like the knot tied in a chastity rope to ever so slightly yet in perpetuity rub, knead and pinch the clit, the strategical heart bulge in the center of your office chair presses into your cavity, your undercaverns, your pleasure-sensitive tipping center, and you prostrate yourself and give in to the pleasure of pain, absolving yourself from shame by blaming the ties that bind us all, the freedom to survive. And how much rope is too much anyway.
red and wine. We made way, for a wildlife, for a wildlife. So crazy, state of mind. Ain't out of my mind. I'm a fool, 'cause I live by the golden rule. Do what you will, it's all the law. Love with will with God. It's a thing to throw too much pain around the door. Won't take me to the throne.
Another brilliant gig at Checkpoint Charlie. This time it was Lost Shack, guys from Seattle. I just basically laying down a rock hard roll of just intimist, minimalist at some points, rhythm groove that just I experienced this as a rock and roll sound massage, just exquisite, extraordinaire. Definitely. So you can catch these guys in Germany in a little while. You can find them on the internet somewhere. Lost Shack from Seattle. Cheers.